welcome to Current Affairs with Jyotsna Sharma, my exclusive show that focuses on current affairs and events that are relevant to you. First and foremost, I wish all the wonderful women out there a very happy International Women's Day. Today we are here to celebrate this Women's Day in a very special way. We are celebrating the Indian American women in technology, and we will take you to their success journey through them as they are with me in the studio tonight. We will talk about how they have evolved in this land of immigrants, coming from India and making it big in America. We will hear their success journey. We will get to know how you can be motivated by doing something specific, what they did, and of course we will evolve and explore more through their experiences in the corporate world in the field of technology specifically. First and foremost, let me introduce you to our first panelist, Anshus. Anshu is a distinguished engineer director at Google. Anshu, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Jyotsna. Thanks for having us.
My pleasure, our pleasure indeed. And we have our next panelist joining us virtually from Delaware. Her name is Shubhada Redimasi. She is a Senior Vice President, Chief Architect, Chief Operating Office at Wells Fargo Technology, Wells Fargo and Company. Very, very warm welcome to you, Shubhada.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Thank you for having me today. I am super excited to share my journey with the audiences here, as well as the other women panelists here. So,
thank you, Shubhada. We are equally excited. And now let me introduce you to our third panelist. Her name is Purvi Shah, and she is a Vice President with American Express. Purvi, very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's so exciting to be here with the distinguished panelists and yourself.
Thank you so much. And my last panelist to my extreme left is Tanu Javeri. She is the head of SEO at Foundry and IDG Inc. company. Very, very warm welcome to you, Tanu.
Nice to meet you again, Jyotsna, and wonderful to be part of this wonderful panel here with such accomplished women. Great to be here.
Indeed, it's my great pleasure, and I really want to thank all of you first, for joining us and, creating a different kind of story. Usually, it's not done the way it's being done today. Celebrating Indian American women, especially on a Women's Day special in this land of immigrants as we speak about. Well, I have a lot of questions. I'll not waste time. All right, ladies, let's start with my set of questions. My first question is, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your current set of responsibilities and how you're placed in terms of leadership role in your organization. What are your achievements and those that you are proud of? Shubhada, I will go to you first. You are sitting there virtually, but you're very close to us. So please, you share your story first.
yeah, thank you, Jyotsna. Like I said, I'm the Chief Architect of the Chief Operating Office here at Wells Fargo. I've been very brief in this role. I've been in this role for about 2 months. Prior to that, I was leading the cloud transformations here at Wells Fargo. I've had the luxury of leading the firm through the cloud strategy and modernization, and was able to take close to about 600 applications to cloud the last year and before. I've had the luxury beyond that to lead many engineering and architecture roles here at Wells Fargo, and prior to that at JPMorgan Chase. So I could say that here at Wells Fargo, there are several women who have leadership positions, and I have the responsibility, like I said, to architect the future and the vision of the Chief Operating Office. And for folks who want to know more about the Chief Operating Office, it's about running the business of the bank and what makes the bank the successful bank it is. So I support that architectural function and the business office as well.
Wow, thank you so much for this beautiful introduction, Shubhada, pretty impressive. And now let's go to Anshu Kak. Anshu is from Google. Anshu, your story, please.
Thank you so much, Jyotsna. Yes, I'm with Google. I'm a distinguished engineer and director managing all the principal architects in Google. What our job is to take the clients on a digital transformation journey. So we go to clients and go see how we can take that next step, next leap of faith, because the industry is changing so fast. So how we can help them in order to get to that next journey with our Google Cloud. So that's the division I am in. But Google is pretty big. Before that, I was in IBM, and I have had a long career in IBM with as the VP for financial services sector. Then before that, data and AI VP globally for data and AI sector, and long career. Before that in GE, and I was the one who wrote the firmware for the first cell phone in Bell Northern Research. So I'm going long
interesting,
back.
impressive.
And what I'm proud of is that I'm a Kashmiri Pandit, and we left Kashmir long back and had to actually leave Kashmir in the exodus, which happened in '89, and we found our way. And what I'm proud of this community also is that what was with us was knowledge. And that's what we came to this land, and we have tried our best to. I was among the first 2 distinguished engineers from Indian origin in United States of America. So that is the accomplishment I feel.
So inspiring and positive. And I see in your profile you've authored a book as well, and a couple of other awards as well.
Yes. I have authored actually 2 books, and I got an award from the Asian American Business Development Institute as the top 50 Asian Americans in the United States. Also 2 Women in Color awards, and have a couple of patents in technology as far as data localization and so on. So I'm a hardcore techie.
Excellent. Anshu, thank you so much for a very inspiring and motivating introduction indeed. And of course, when she says she's a Kashmiri Pandit, as you know, when they were displaced in 89-90, thousands and thousands, or say hundreds and thousands of Kashmiri Pandits made their way differently, and they were successful because they carried their knowledge with them. Anshu is one such success story from there. Now I'll go to Purvi Shah. Purvi is from American Express. As we said, Purvi, please tell us about yourself and more in detail about your organizational capabilities.
Sure. So I've been with American Express for about 12 years now. I currently lead a team that manages everything that has to do with data management, and it's loosely fitting into 3 areas. So I manage all of the big data ecosystem globally. So it includes everything that we're doing currently today and on-premise, and then moving to the cloud. So really leading that transformation into the cloud. The second part of my function is also in terms of the enterprise services. So how do we manage data quality for the enterprise? How do we think about real-time streaming events? So those are the 2 other additional platforms that I own. And then in addition to that, I am also responsible for the enterprise business intelligence tools.
Wow.
And prior to this current role, I was responsible for creating Customer 360 for American Express.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and in terms of accomplishments that I'm really proud of, I have achieved 2 U.S. patents, which is really exciting. And
interesting.
Yeah.
So what are these patents?
So the 2 patents that I received were, working on Customer 360. We created a new way of basically taking all of the data that we have across multiple different systems and doing matching algorithms behind the scenes. It was a really good team effort. And then the another one was to support our merchant business, where the basic problem that we had is all of the sales agents that go out and work with merchants on a day-to-day basis. The challenge was that they were spending so much time pulling data, creating insights before they could even have a meaningful conversation. So we created a way to drag and drop analytics into PowerPoint presentations that were ready to go. So that helped the sales team be more effective.
Perfect. Thank you, Purvi. And we have Tanu here. Tanu is the SEO head at Foundry, the IDG company. Tanu, your story, please.
Nice to be here, Jyotsna. I lead the head of SEO for Foundry, which is a MarTech company with publications. So it's a great intersection of technology and media at the same time, and how it actually impacts users' life.
Wow.
Right now, I am, as I said, heading the SEO element of the company, which means overseeing about 47 domains or 47 publications, which are going from a legacy perspective, from which were probably in print when we were all studying technology and have now become online and digital environments. So that's where my digital expertise come in. I've had the career of 20 years in digital, which spanned across digital marketing, which had paid search, SEO, and of course the digital analytic element that comes along with it. in terms of lovely accomplishments that we have seen here for the ladies, we all have had some footprints in our industry, but I think the one that's favorite of mine is for my volunteering work, where my industry recognized my volunteering work and they gave me an award for that. And that was special, that my industry,
Excellent.
the search industry, recognized that I was doing something outside the work, and that's a special one for me.
And what is your volunteer work?
I volunteer for an organization called Awake, and that helps South Asian women for domestic abuse victims.
Wow, thank you for this, beautiful introductions. I mean, so much they have accomplished in their life. So my second question is about why did you prefer to choose a career in technology, and what motivates you to be where you are today? And again, I'll go to Shubhada here for answer first, and then I'll go to other panelists. Shubhada.
Thank you, Jyotsna. That's an interesting question, and I hope to interest all of you guys with my journey as well. So I was always about tinkering things. So I was somebody who would take out the telephones from at the house, take out the television, fix it back. You won't believe how many things I would have spoiled in my household, not being able to fix back things that I opened up. So I was somebody who was always tinkering growing up. And having said that, as I dabbled, my first attempt at technology was at school with BASIC and Fortran. And I will tell you, I did not enjoy that as much. Then somehow there was this whole league of people going into computer science, and I wanted to be that person who also learned computer science. So I started my computer science engineering. And I really, really enjoyed the journey towards microprocessors and coding on small little pieces and chips. So my first job was actually coding on microprocessor chips. And while I enjoyed that, I then started on the side building websites on the side. And I realized that something that I can feel, touch, and put in front of people visually, where people can react to, was something that appealed to me very much. Then I joined in a consulting firm, a leading consulting firm in India, and had an opportunity to work with one of the major banks here in the US, and I was blown away by the opportunity. And the fact that I was able to, with the technology I was building, impact millions of customers was giving me a kick every single day, right? So the ability to roll one new feature and look at it and say, oh, how does this impact this customer, this household, this business? And the feedback that you get, and the fact that you can improve based on the feedback, and the testing of a new feature. All of that was so intriguing for me. And I've spent about 25 plus years now in banking, and have been able to develop so many different things with technology, experiment with so many innovative things, now being AI, looking at it and saying, okay, the chat bots that are there, where you are chatting with a virtual agent. There's so many different things, so I get very excited talking about the journey. But it all started with the tinkering that I was talking about, where I ripped apart telephone sets and started putting back. Yes, there's one big, gigantic ones that we used to have with the rotator phones. That's what I'm referring to when I talked about taking out the telephone sets and putting it back. So that was my journey so far. And what motivates me, like I said, was the fact that in my role today, I'm able to impact tens of millions of customers of Wells Fargo through technology, and the fact that when they come to an ATM or when they use their mobile phone for Wells Fargo, it's just like a pat on the back every time somebody uses our technology to do something that is part of their day-to-day life.
Very interesting. Wow. And I love it, the way you said you love tinkering with things there. It was an age, I mean, when we speak about the times when you did your engineering, just a quick question, Shubhada, how many girls were there in your class?
I think I was lucky because I was doing computer science engineering. So in computer science engineering, we were about 12 to 14 girls in the class. So it wasn't as bad. But I will tell you, some of the other engineering disciplines, like we had onesie, twosie women. So it was, most of them used to hang out with the computer science engineer women because that was the big flock of women that we would see. And I think this is what I find unique about India, right? We talk a lot about diversity in the US,
Right.
and where we actually talk about how women are not really represented at various positions in the higher up in the organization. But when you look at the Indian frame, I think we see a lot of very accomplished and educated women, and it is phenomenal to see where some of the women have landed themselves.
Excellent. That's the reason why I asked, is because that's how we are celebrating the women in technology today, the Indian American women. That's the reason I asked you this question, Shivada. Thank you. Well, I'll go to Anshu. Anshu, what's your take about this question?
Oh, I love technology. Actually, it's funny. I had got a seat in medical school, and I was like, oh my God, I never want to do medicine.
Okay.
And then
All right.
I came to technology. What fascinates me about technology that it keeps you on your tippy toes. It's changing the world every day. There are no 2 days in my job that are the same. Literally, no 2 days in my job that are the same, because it's working for the customers, working how we are going to help them to do their business better, right? So coming from the era I came from, it was Pascal. I started with Pascal, then it was C, then it was C++, and then it was Java, and then, it's just, you have to learn every day. Now, for example, AI, I had started working in AI about 15 years back. But that time, AI was not that much prevalent because the compute power was not there.
Right.
But AI was there. Then I remember when cloud came. Cloud changed the way was like, I remember I was reading one of the journals, and it was like, cloud will be a utility.
Seriously?
And that is what it is.
Wow.
It's like electricity.
It was already there mentioned like long time back?
It was long time. It was ages back mentioned. So now it is coming to fusion, and how the whole world is changing. Before technology teams used to be one side in an organization. Now everybody has the seat on the table as the technologist, because they are looking at you and saying, okay, what next is going to come? How are we going to change our business? Because there are others which are like startups. They are eating the lunch, right? So how are you keeping you on your tippy toes, and how you're changing the world, and how with this generative AI now, oh my God, I wrote once to Bart, and it wrote me all the code. It gave me all the code. So how this whole no-code world will morph? I'm excited to see.
Interesting. So a lot of motivation every day for you, as you
Every
said.
day.
Every day is a new day for you.
Every day is a
Wow.
new day for
Thank
me.
you for that. And Purvi, what motivates you? And of course, why did you prefer to choose career in technology?
Yeah, so
And one more thing, you are the second generation Indian American here, or
Yes.
you were born in India?
I was born here but raised in India, actually.
Really?
And then,
Okay, interesting.
at the ripe age of high school, my parents decided, hey, let's move to the US.
Okay, so you were born here, went to India, did your high school, and then came back.
Did all the way up to that, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So your answer, please.
So for me, Jyotsna, I love solving problems. I love creating best experiences. I love creating, things that are more efficient overall. And for me, I've been very lucky. My career started in the early days, not as far as Pascal, but I would say C++. But in college, I remember my first job was, if you remember Netscape as the search engine.
Yes.
They would send us students like reams and reams of search engine queries that were there, and my job was to help classify them.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, there has to be a better way than me sitting here at midnight trying to figure out, what is the classification, what are the spelling mistakes, and how do we improve the search engine in the future. Fast forward a couple of years, I ended up getting a job at a consulting firm where I ended up being responsible for creating the next generation of application onboarding for kids that required help from like the state government. So how do we do early intervention programs for different types of states, and how do we implement that so the experience is better for the kids, and they don't have to wait in line, they don't have to fill out paper forms. So it's a very inspiring part of my career.
This is so interesting. You know what, for the general audience, I mean, if we are talking too much technology, probably the technology is making your life easier. That's what she's talking about when she says, doing those forms, creating those forms for the...
That's right. I see it as an enabler, right? And so for me to solve problems and for me to basically be able to do what we do where technology is embedded in everything, and Anshu talked about this where she said, we don't know what the future holds, but we see it day in, day out, everything from when you wake up and what you do with your phone to when you go to bed and everything in between. And so it is really changing how we work, and technology is nothing more an enabler to solve real problems. So that's definitely what keeps me motivated.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Thank you, Purvi. And Tanu, yours is a very, I have invited you specifically, they do all their work and you are the one who promote them. I mean, indirectly, I'm going to say yes.
That's yes, kind of.
You make them visible. Not you as in, but the
my
kind of
job
work
does.
you do,
That's
your
my
job does.
work.
So tell something about your job, of course, from SEO perspective, people are like, what is SEO? So a little bit, and of course your motivation and being in technology, or say a different angle of technology, to be more specific.
Right. This maybe I'm aging myself here, but yes, I do understand what Pascal is. So that's not the funny part. But even my career, I graduated out of business school, and this job, Google did not exist as a company when I graduated out of business school.
Wow. I
was going to be a hotshot advertising executive, and that was my goal, and I wanted to join advertising. And as luck would have it, I got a journalism job in writing in print media. There was no digital magazines back then.
Really? What a transition. Okay, interesting.
So I wrote in paper magazines about advertising. That was the closest I could get to advertising. And as my life would have it, I got a chance to travel across different continents and countries. And then I said, okay, what can I do for a living? And I thought, I can still write. And I started writing, and trust me, I sent it through Yahoo Mail. Gmail did not exist. That happened in 2004. So that led to online writing and online experience. And that led to, at one point, everybody wanted to be seen on search engines. So Netscape led to AOL. That led to Yahoo. And then something like Google came along. And it's changed the structure as to how search industry worked. People then started to go online to look for information, and that meant that somebody was going to be the communicator between technology and what was seen by the users. And that's where I come in, and I do that part of the communication, making sure anything that the users are looking for, the information that they're seeking, can be found through these search engines.
Interesting. Quite a different transition she had, Tanu had. So that's what technology is, a mix of beautiful things out there, and it is all making our lives easier. Well, let's go to the third question. Of course, you all have grown successful, and of course, an organization where you work makes you successful. So basically, in terms of support from your organization, what are the bright points that you would like to share with our audience and motivate the other women there, who want to join your organization or the likes of your organization to grow in their career? What would you suggest to them? I'll take it like, who wants to answer this?
I can go ahead.
All right, Purvi, please.
I've been very lucky to work for both consulting company and American Express, where women have been not only promoted but celebrated. And in current environment that I'm in, I actually report into a CDO that's a female CDO, which is really exciting, and she's thriving, which is great to see. My direct leader is also a female. But more importantly, within our company, what has happened is not only do we have informal ways that we support women to grow and groom them into the next executive, but we also have created programs that are more specific to providing formalized ways to get connected. And two of those programs I'll just list is Women Interest Network is one of the ways where executive women can connect, get some skill sets, understand how do they learn from other executives that have grown in the company. So that's one of many ways. And then the other one is a project that we partnered with the New York Women Foundation called the Ambitious Project.
Wow,
and if you think about the word ambitious, all of the women here and the listeners that we have are ambitious, But how do we make sure that we as leaders acknowledge and understand the opportunities where we can shine the light on the accomplishments of the women? And that's the really important part. So the word ambitious is very deliberate, and the us and the ambitious is how do we support each other? How do we elevate each other? Is a program that I'm really proud that American Express has been able to launch in partnership with the New York Women Foundation.
Interesting. I'm great support from American Express there as an organization where you can make your career. Thank you, Purvi. Anshu, what would you like to speak about your organization and the support you got?
Oh, I'm lucky. Really, I feel I'm lucky to have the organizations I have worked in. Google, an amazing company where I work now, and before it was IBM. And it is the support. It is the support. There is a lot of support, actually, of women executives in our organization. Like my sponsor is a woman, my manager is a woman, and in fact, the whole sales is led by a woman in Google.
Excellent.
It's
Wow.
amazing. Google Cloud is led by a saleswoman, and as Purvi said, I would add to that in Google also there are organizations where we nurture upcoming women and have them mentored and have sponsorship for them. We have one organization which is Women at Cloud, and this is a big organization where it is all about how we can help each other, how we can nurture women, and how we can educate them to get to the next levels. In fact, it has sponsorship from all the executives, and the other aspect also is that for the executive woman also there are programs, like we have a director program that how can you get on the boards, which is not easy to find in other companies. So how can they nurture women to get to that next level, and also help whenever they need help, if they need off for some time or anything of that sort. So I'm all for Google as far as women working in Google.
Excellent.
Actually, what Anshu says is really good, because we share some history here from IBM.
Right.
We both were.
Yes.
I was about to
proud
come
of
to
it.
you otherwise also, Tanu. So just add up and then about your support,
So-
about the support you get from your organization.
Apart from the formal mentorship and sponsorship that Anshu already talked about, there are organizations which are called BRGs, or employee groups, which are present in both organizations. I was part of Women in NYC for IBM. I used to lead the leadership squad
Nice.
for that. Similarly, in the current organization that I'm part of, they also have a BRG, which is also global in nature. It's not just restricted just to the Americas, but it's actually available for our entire global women employees. So all the companies do offer BRGs as well, which are supporting to the women employees across the globe. In Foundry as well, there is an annual program that takes place where we actually identify our aspiring managers who could go into the leadership executive programs and actually put them in through an executive program, as Anshu was talking. Even in IBM, there was a program where we actually send our employees or female recognizing employees who may want to pursue a higher career into programs for executive training. There are executive leadership trainings in Cornell, one that I've also done myself, which is being offered in these companies. There is executive
Excellent.
trainings from Harvard that is being offered, and that is what,
that's
again, the
very
kind of
good.
sponsorships companies provide to our employees. And that actually helps in bringing up that element of learning and, of course, representation. At this point of time, if we
Very
look
nice.
at just this panel and we look up within our organization, there are enough women leaders who can motivate us.
Thank you, Tanu. See, the thing is, why is your story being covered today? You are just 4 here. But the thing is, there are thousands of you out there, who have this similar success story, who got the support, and we need to send the message out so that more women join the world of technology.
Jyotsna, I agree totally with you, because when I see in the trajectory, we have very less women in technology. At present also, when I'm sitting in the conference rooms, we have so many men and we are 3 or 2 or 4
That's where it is.
ladies.
That's why.
So we need young girls to take the baton and get into technology.
And I would add to that, which is we need our male, friends and colleagues to also be a strong ally for our women and support them and encourage them, whether it's your daughter, whether it's their niece, whoever it is, to help them kind of grow into the world of technology.
Beautiful
for us.
point you have raised, Purvi. I must say that. That's where it is. If we don't get that support from our male counterparts, it becomes a little tough as a journey. And let's go to Shubhada now. Shubhada, I'd like to know from you, what is your take about the support you've got in your organization and all other things, as we speak about.
I think I'm probably unique here a little bit, given the backgrounds of the other ladies we heard about. My sponsor is a man, is a male leader at Wells Fargo, and who I have followed from JP Morgan Chase when the gentleman came to Wells Fargo. And I've had many sponsors in my journey to be where I am. And I can very credibly say most of my sponsors were actually male. I think it's good to say that there are senior leaders and men out there who look at talent and who are able to grow the talent in an effective manner at Wells Fargo. And one of the key things, I think some of the women touched about this as well, Wells Fargo has very clearly and very deliberately really looked at women in technology. And what we have done specifically is we have 3 pillars of support for women, as we call it. And the 3 pillars that we have is the attract pillar, which is really concentrating on the pipeline of women that we want to bring to the organization. Mm-hmm. So you see folks like us who are really out there and in the outreach to attract key talent to the organization. And then we have an enrichment pillar, which I have led for a bit and now transition to somebody else. The enrichment pillar is really about how do we make sure we make the experience for the women who are part of our organization phenomenal and be their best selves. And then there is the retain pillar as well that we talk about a lot, where we are making sure that we understand if women are leaving the firm for whatever reasons, that they're leaving for the right reasons, and we are able to retain the talent that is brought to the firm. One other thing I'm very proud of very recently, and I'm sure some of the women here will appreciate the thought process here. We are also reflective of our journey, right? Where we are in the journey of bringing women to the senior roles in the organization. Right. So one of the programs that I championed and shared this past year was our Distinguished Engineer program. And I'm very proud to say we had inducted 2 women as Distinguished Engineers at Wells Fargo last year. Before that, we had 11 men at the table. And I was like, okay, this is simply not acceptable. So we ran with the program to actually make sure that we are bringing some key women who were well accomplished and had to be recognized in the organization for their credibility that they bring to the firm.
Excellent. Great inputs from Wells Fargo there. Thank you, Shubhada. Now, I'll go off track a little bit just to know one more thing for the women, in general, because we raise families. We take leaves from our career to raise our kids sometimes. When women go on sabbatical or these long gaps, is there a way back to come to the corporate world in the field of technology? How welcome are they? Who would like to answer?
I can take that. I took a 10-year career gap.
Oh, you took a 10-year career gap?
Yes,
I did. Career gap? Okay.
Yeah, I did. So as you very correctly said, with family when it comes in, and with 2 different family partners working in different organizations, one career takes you in another form of or other countries, and then the other one has to make a choice. And I did end up being out of work because I did not have a work permit. I was not permitted to work in the countries that I was living in.
Oh, you were on a dependent visa.
Yes.
H4 visa, the royal visa.
Yes, that famous word, yes.
Okay.
And I had to wait for my turn in line to get back to my career. I lost all the growth that I had, and I had to start at the associate level. That is the first position you get in a job when you start your career. So I started my career again at the age of 35, and here we are. It is about building blocks, and maybe when you do have a limited time, I think you are more dedicated and more work, but there are options, and I think most companies actually offer that come back to work. If you see any companies today, they actually offer to say that there is a concept called working back or come back to work. Even if you think of the Chase ad, if I don't know if anybody recalls that there is a big advertising that they do about this particular aspect
another company
of bringing.
you are taking some other companies.
Yes, I'm not
promoting
just taking about my company, but
Okay.
there are many.
But there are many
companies
such
who have-
organizations as we
which
speak
say
about.
bringing
Great.
back women to work campaigns.
And I would just add to that, which is American Express does something very similar, which is how do we welcome them back, but then more importantly, how do we give them the tools and the
They need to get really
support.
trained and adjust to the situation
Yeah.
after that long gap, right? So you
Exactly.
provide them those tools.
Providing
training.
the tools, but the support and the flexibility that you need, right?
Excellent.
Because when you come back after
This
that long
needs
of
to
a
go
break,
out to the audience out there, because they feel, oh, my career is finished. Now where would I begin again?
Yeah, I think if I
Shubhada.
might chime in, a little bit there, right? And I probably am on the other side of the spectrum here a little bit. I haven't taken a break of my career,
Wow.
but I think and funnily or so, with my first child, she's 16 years old now, and when I had her, I had the typical 12-week kind of a break that I took. And I think I drove myself crazy and my husband crazy to the point that he was like, when are you going back to work, right? So I think for me it was, I was working all through is what I'd say. But I think phenomenal support is what I'd say. The companies that I worked for at that point of time and the companies that I see and I'm working for right now, I think the flexibility that some of these firms have come up with and have created the structures that support women right now, you should feel very confident even if you are going on the journey of planning a family or really trying to explore yourself in a unique, different way there, that the companies understand what it takes and will provide you that flexibility. So don't be shy to ask if you are one of those folks who are really starting to think about having a family. You don't have to give up your careers for that.
Excellent. And Anshu?
Yeah,
Yes.
and I would add to that, and I think there are two aspects to it. One is nowadays there are a lot of breaks, a long break after the maternity. You get 6 months, some companies give 4 months.
Interesting.
Which is very, very good.
Right.
And the other aspect, that's the company, because all of us who talked, it's from home, at home. How much support your husband, how much support your family is giving you.
Counts a lot.
And I think
Right.
that is very, very important. To be honest with you, I am fortunate enough. My husband gave me full support, and literally within 12 weeks, I was working, and I have never stopped working from that time. But so it's very important for us here to preach that it's not just the company, it's the family also that
Indeed.
needs to
That
to
counts a
support.
lot. They say behind every successful man there is a woman, and of course behind most of the successful women there is a man. And I would say some men support, and behind most of the other successful women there are still men who have not supported, and these women became stronger by the day. So I hope you'll agree there. Because there are different stories to the life of a woman, of course, as we speak about the Indian women in general and the setup that we come from, the male-dominated society we come from. Interesting. Okay, let's go to next question now. It's about, who inspired you to become who you are, or a leader, as I say, and who is your role model? And Anshu, tell me first.
Okay,
Yours is a very different story altogether, coming from Kashmir,
My role model is really, I have two role models. One is my mother. My mother is a big role model. She was a professor in chemistry in 1940s.
1940s.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And
Very
that time there was not even a university in Jammu and Kashmir.
And that too a professor in chemistry.
That
you
too a
name it.
professor in chemistry. So
Excellent.
I had big shoes to fill in. And she was, what I loved about her, she was so dedicated about her job. And at that time, she used to get up at I always think about, she used to get up at 5 a.m., prepare her lesson, 6 a.m. in the kitchen, then cook, get ready, and leave. Though she had good support from my my grandmother and all,
Right.
but and never complain. Never I have heard her complaining. And she has been always my role model. And she, every time when I even, recently, when I call her, she's like, "How is your job going? How are you doing in your job? And
Excellent.
What's happening?" She was always kind of that focused and to the point and just focus on your career and focus on excellence. And the other role model I have is Ruth Ginsburg. My God, the woman, how she made her way in this society in United States of America, the second justice on Supreme Court, and how much she rallied for women in this country. So these are my two role models because they have accomplished too
Thanks. Purvi, who's your role model?
So for me, similar to Anshu, it's my parents, both my mom and dad. And my dad specifically because, you know, he was a chemical engineer. In the 70s, he got his degree. For, you know, 15 years, he did chemical engineering, had a plant in India and all of that. And suddenly he woke up and he said, hey, I'm going to change everything, become a computer engineer. And he was a self-taught person.
Excellent.
And just watching him make that bold and career move when he had kids, he had family to take care of. He definitely had a lot of support from his family to do this.
Right.
But just seeing that was such an inspiration for me. And then for my mom, it was to see that, you know, any situation that we were in, the positive attitude that she had, the can-do attitude, and every problem that came, it was just a smile and keep moving. And that's what I've learned, and that's what I do even in my role, which is you get problems day in, day out. There's not a single day that you don't get a problem and you have to solve it. And it's about being calm, it's being about, you know, being cool, collected, and how do you deal with a problem in a creative way. So for me, it's both of my parents.
Excellent. Parents they create our foundation. And when they are your role model, it's a all different story, you know, beautiful success story that you create for yourself as you do. Wonderful. Tanu, what about you?
Oh, I'm going to go along, but yes, there is a man in my story, my dad. Growing up, I don't know what it was and how he did that. He probably had some magic in him which said I could do anything I've set my heart to. He told me that I could study whatever subjects I want. There was no pressure on getting into medical or engineering. So I studied what I wanted to, pursue a career I wanted to.
Right.
And for 20 years, through my digital journey, which was so unknown and new, that it actually helped me doing that. And he taught me that no matter where I went, I had a voice and I could speak up and achieve whatever I wanted to. So he gave me that sense of confidence that I still have.
Excellent. Fathers are the best mentors for their daughters. Beautiful. Let's go to Shubhada there. Shubhada, who's your role model?
I think one of the common patterns that we've heard about here in general was having a strong set of parents who are able to symbolize what good role models look like. I think I can echo a lot of the statements that were shared by the rest of the panelists. But I'm going to take it a little further than that into the world and what we could learn from other leaders in the world. And in that theme, I'd say Steve Jobs is one of my role models here because, like I was talking to you before, I was very intrigued by the thought process of how banking could affect lives in general. So one of the things that I found phenomenal with Steve Jobs in particular was how he has brought the importance of the end customer to life. And now you see 20 plus years, companies have really spent time and energy in understanding the end customer and what kind of experiences we want to deliver to our customers. I think that was a phenomenal, drastic shift. I mean, we talk about the first iPhone where he really wanted to create that touch interface on an iPhone and sent it for user testing, and it was really not accepted. And how he still pursued that because that's what he thought was right for the customers, and he delivered that, and now it's a phenomenal thing out there, which is followed by many, many companies. I think that's a great story. And when you start looking at that, it tells you very much that you might fail multiple times and you might take a different approach in how you would deal with the hardships that you're going through individually as well. But if you are at it, then you are going to hit a bigger jackpot, for a lack of a better word, right? So I think that's a huge inspirational story right there with Steve Jobs. So I'd say he is my role model because of that.
Excellent. Thank you. Indeed, he is a role model for millions. Well, Shubhda, I have another question. I'll start from you only. This question speaks about how can women gain confidence to navigate the corporate world?
Yeah, great question. And I think it starts with you wanting to be you, right? And what I mean by that is that it's about knowing and being able to share your views boldly and having a seat at the table. And I know there's several books written on this, but simply for me, I'd say, what's the worst that can happen to you if you actually lean in and are able to express your opinions and not hold back, right? I mean, I always, when I mentor people or talk to people, that's the question I ask, right? What's the worst that would happen, right? But what would not happen when you do not share your views is actually people not even noticing that you exist, right? So my whole theme of thought process there is don't hold back, right? You are there because you're credible. You bring value to that role. You bring value to that topic, that subject. So there is really no reason for you to hold back. So push yourself to be out there. Find your voice. And the last thing that I'd say is find your allies. Right? There will be a lot of times, and I am an outspoken woman, like you say, like you can see. But one of the things that I have experienced with a lot of other women in the organization is they find it very hard to break into a conversation. They find it very hard to be able to talk when 5 men are talking or 10 men are talking, right? So find an ally who can break it in for you, and don't be afraid to work behind the scenes to find your voice as well. Use folks at the table to invite you into conversations and be vocal both in front of people and behind people is what I'd say.
Interesting. Thank you for these wonderful inputs there, Shubhda. For our audience as well, why am I asking these questions? Because they mean a lot. They're going to change the career trajectory for you, especially for all those women who want to make it big in this world, in the corporate world. Who else wants to add up to it? Beautiful inputs we have gotten from our esteemed guests tonight, and I'll seek a closing statement from all of you. You have given great inputs here. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for coming to our studios. Women's Day special, and you made it extra special, creating some beautiful memories with the stories that you have shared. Anshu, I'll go with you. What have you learned from your career as a closing statement that would inspire others?
Have a passion for what you do, and it's all about customer, the person you are working for, or and people around you, team. I consider my team my family.
Thank you. Purvi?
Yeah, I think for us, especially in the world of technology, we can get bogged down with, I use this language, this is the tech stack, and all of that. I think it's important to storytell. And that is one skill that I think, it took me a while to realize that, because I would show what it took to do it, but not what it does and what it solves. And so that's really important, just to be able to storytell crisply in terms of why you're doing something and what it delivered and the impact. It's the skill set that is something that everyone should, develop over time.
Thank you so much, Purvi. Tanu, what do you have to say?
I think we all should have the risk taking. Say yes first and figure out how it's to be done. And also with, we are women of technology, so we have to say this. Figure out a way to unlearn and learn something new every 6 months.
Excellent
because
point.
You can go from Pascal all the way to Java before you know.
Excellent, thank you. And out there, Shubhda, your closing statement, of course.
I'd say be purposeful and enjoy what you're doing and experiment.
Thank you so much. We are very, very thankful to you, the ITV Gold studio. Our entire team is grateful to all of you wonderful, guests tonight, who have enlightened our audience. And I'm pretty sure we'll get a great feedback on this Women's Day special, Indian American Women in Technology. And we are celebrating Indian American women in technology here. Next year, I would like to celebrate some more on this platform, not just technology, be it healthcare, be it entertainment, be some creativity we speak about, women in general are creative, are enterprising, are courageous, are resourceful, are the people, are the creators of the world, and the might lies in them. They can do anything and everything. This was a little different twist to my show tonight, and of course I'm pretty sure you might have gained a lot from this. To all the women again, happy International Women's Day. Stay blessed. For our other audience, thank you for watching us, and do let us know how did you find this special show. Next week, I'll come back with another interesting session on a different topic. Until then, stay blessed and keep fit, keep healthy. Thanks to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Shubhada. Thanks, Anshu, Purvi, and Tanu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.